Hi everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable amigurumi lemon. You'll need 50 to 60 yards of the main yellow yarn. You'll also need about 10 yards each of the black yarn for the face and the green yarn for the leaf and the top of the lemon. And then you'll need maybe 5 yards, if that, of the brown to make this hanging loop that doubles as a stem. To stuff your lemon, you'll also need some fiberfill. For my lemon, I use this Polyfill Ultra Plush that Fairfield provided. It's a super soft and squishy filling that's perfect for this project. Optionally, you can add a little weight to your lemon with about a tablespoon of these Fairfield Polyfill Poly Pellets that Fairfield also sent me for a previous project. If you're using poly pellets, you'll also want a knee-high stocking that you can put them in so that they can't come out of the holes in your crochet. And I'll show you how to do that when we get to that part of the project. Finally, the last optional item is blush. You can add these cute little cheeks to your lemon with just regular brush and a cotton swab. Start by chaining 2. And then work 4 single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Now we're not going to join, we're going to keep working in continuous rounds. So to help mark the beginning of each round, I'm using a separate piece of yarn as a stitch marker. Completely different color so that I can't miss it. I just lay that down in between the last stitch that I just made and the first stitch of the next round that I'm about to make. For the next round, I'm just going to single crochet in each stitch again. So 1, 2, 3, and one more makes 4. And you can see I'm back to my marker. So that means it's time to start my next round. For the next round, I'm going to increase in every stitch. So I have 4 right now. I'm going to work an increase in each stitch, and that gives me 8. So the increase we're doing is you single crochet in the back loop only first, then you single crochet in the same stitch going through both loops. Okay, let's do that again. I'm pulling this end out because it's folding. There we go. Single crochet in the back loop, and then single crochet in both loops. Back loop, both loops, and then one more time, back loop, both loops. Now I have 8 stitches. Fold that back over again to mark the spot, and you'll see this will start running all the way up in kind of a running stitch along our work, so you can see where the beginning of each row is. Now for the next row, I'm going to increase by 4 again. So I'm going to start with a single crochet, regular single crochet, then I'm going to do an increase. So back loop, both loops. And I'll keep doing that pattern around. So 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. There we go. So that was 4 to start with, then we made 8, now we have 12. Next comes 16. So in this one, I'm going to start with the increase. We kind of want to stagger our increases so we don't get lines. So here I'm going to do an increase and then 2 single crochet. Increase and then 2 single crochet. And that should bring me right back to my marker. Now in this round, we're going to go from 16 stitches to 20. So I'm going to single crochet in 3 stitches and then do an increase. 3 stitches and then an increase. And do that 4 times. Now I've got 20, so I'm going to go up to 24. I'm going to increase. I split the yarn there. There we go. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Increase and single crochet in 4 stitches. Okay, flip that round marker over, and now I am at 24. I'm going to start increasing 3 at a time instead of 4 at a time. So this time I'm going to do 7 single crochet and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochet and then an increase. And I'll do that 3 times. Pull that marker over again, and we're going to do 3 increases again. This time we're going 8 single crochet in between increases. So we start with our increase, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we're going to keep doing that all the way around, which should be 3 times total. Okay, I have 30 stitches, and now I'm ready to start working even to make the straight part of the lemon. So we're going to do 10 rounds of just working 30 single crochet all the way around, and then I'll come back. We've done our 10 rounds of working even, and now before we go any further, we want to stop and weave in this tail. When I weave it in, I'm being careful not to go over where I've got my marker here, because I want to be able to pull that out later. So I'm going in an opposite direction to weave in the tail. And after I've woven it in a little bit, I don't even have to cut it. It can just fill the bottom of the stuffing here. So I can just stuff it right down into that. And in fact, we can start stuffing now and finish as we go. You can do it now, or you can wait till you've got more of a closed section at the top, but I'm going to start now. And if you want to add a little bit of weight to your lemon, now this is optional, okay? You can fill part of it with these poly pellets. These are little weighted stuffing beads. Now for crochet, you need to do something to make sure they don't pop through. So what I do is I take a small, or not small, but the toe of a nylon stocking, fill them with some of these beads, and then just tie a knot above where the beads are and trim it so that there's a little bit left here. With this little bit that's left, you just fold it over like that, and now you have a little ball of stuffing or a little ball of weighted stuffing that you can shove in. Now I'm going to shove this in and push it so that the beads go right down into that little nub at the bottom there. Okay? All the way down in there. I want them to really open that out there. So that'll weight the bottom of this lemon a little bit. When it's hanging, it'll hang straighter. And then I'm going to pad that all the way around with some stuffing. The smaller pieces of stuffing that you use, the more evenly it'll be spaced out. These are actually larger pieces than I would normally use. I just want to do it a little fast for the video. So I would normally use pieces about this big to stuff them in, because that makes it sit nice and even and makes it spread out well. All right, that's all I'm doing for now. I'll do a little bit more as we go. I don't want it to get in the way of my crocheting. So now we're going to start decreasing. So we have 30 and we want to go down to 27. So for every 10 stitches, we want to decrease 1, right? So I'm going to work 8 regular single crochet and then a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now for the decrease, to make the decrease more invisible, what we're going to do is insert our hook just under the front loop of the first stitch, twist it around a little bit, and go under the front loop of the next stitch. Just like that. I haven't pulled up any loops. I've just gone under the first front loop, and then under the second front loop. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop in both of those stitches together. And that makes a decrease now when I finish that single crochet. There's my decrease. Okay, so that was 1. Do it again, 8 regular single crochet, and now a decrease. Under the first front loop, under the second front loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. And one more time, that's 8, under the first front loop, under the second front loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So now that's 27 stitches, and we want to go down to 24. Now this end of a lemon is a little more wrinkly generally than the bottom end, so I am actually going to stack my decreases and do it the same way every time. So last time I did 8 stitches and then a decrease. Now I'm going to do 7 stitches and then a decrease. So this decrease is going to be stacked on top of that one. And you will see a little bit of a wrinkle there, and that's okay because that's what a lemon looks like at this end. Okay, now I'm to 24, so now I want to decrease every 4 stitches. So now I'm going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches, and then decrease over the next 2. And I'll do that 4 times. Now we're at 20, now I'm going to get to 16, so I'm going to single crochet in 3 stitches and then do a decrease. Okay, that's 16 stitches. Now we're going to get down to 12, so I'm going to single crochet in 2 stitches and then do a decrease. Now here's where we're going to pause because we're starting to get kind of small at the end here, right? And we're going to stuff our lemon the rest of the way. Okay, that's a nicely stuffed lemon. So now let's finish the end. This end of a lemon is generally flatter than the other end. So instead of decreasing, I'm at 12. Instead of going to 8 and then 4, I'm just going to go straight to 6. So I'm going to decrease in every single stitch here. Before the very last pull through here, I'm going to go ahead and change to green. Okay? I could cut the yellow, but I'll deal with it later. So now I'm doing one more round of just single crochet in every stitch in the green color. And it's going to be tight, but that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we can fasten off. So now notice I didn't join this round. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this stitch and I'm going to sew it through, either with a needle or with my hook, every one of these stitches, and then pull it tight. So there's most of our lemon done. Now we can remove this stitch marker. If you've been careful not to catch it in anything, you should be able to just put your hand on the lemon and pull, and notice how it's just pulling straight out. If you've caught it, you may have to go in with scissors and snip it out carefully, but it should just pull out like that if you haven't caught it in anything. Now I'm going to weave in these ends, and then we're going to make a leaf. When you're done weaving in your end in amigurumi, you can just stick your needle through a large amount of stuffing and pull that end in, and it'll get sucked in just like that. For the leaf, we're going to start by chaining 6. Now in the second chain from the hook, we're going to work a slip stitch. Then in the next chain, we'll do a half double crochet, then 2 double crochets in the next chain, both in the same chain. Okay, a half double crochet in the next chain, and 3 single crochets in this chain. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to start working on the other side of these stitches. We've already done 3 single crochets in this chain, so ignore that one. We're going to go in the next chain, do a half double crochet, and this is where the half double crochet was. Okay, 2 double crochets where our 2 double crochets are. So we're basically repeating the pattern on this side. Do another half double crochet here in the next one, and then in the last one, again, we're going to do a slip stitch. That gives us kind of a pointier end. So this is our leaf, and now to make a really cute little point at the end, we're going to chain 2 and then slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. And that gives us a nice little point right on the end. And that's our leaf. I'm going to fasten this off, and I'll weave in that top end here, and then we'll use the bottom end to sew it onto our lemon. I'm actually going to weave this all the way down here and then pull the end through the lemon just like I was doing with the other ends. So I'll place this where I want it on the lemon. Right there looks good. And I'll stick it right through the top here and just pull it straight through. And I'll wait and trim that after I've sewn this in. So now I'm going to take this other end, the end that we started with, and I'm just going to basically weave this end in to sew it down. So I'm going to like go over the end here and then just kind of weave this into here to just sew the leaf in place just right at the tip here, just on these 3 stitches that were right at this curve. Maybe I'll go a little bit farther down. There we go. That feels good. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this in just like I did with the other one. Weave it a little bit and then stick it, weave it a little bit. There we go. And then stick it down through the lemon and pull it out in a random spot. Now I'll trim both of these ends and let them suck back in. There. And they suck back in. Now let's give them a face. For the eyes, chain 2 and work 6 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. We're doing this with the black yarn. And then you can join with a slip stitch if you want, or you can just leave it and sew it closed when you're done. So that is one eye. Now on one of the eyes, leave one very long tail for sewing, like 24 to 36 inches, something like that, so that we can finish the embroidery with that. On the other eye, you don't need such a long tail. You can just leave a short tail. When you're done making both eyes, weave in all the ends except for this very long one. Okay, I have my 2 eyes, one with a very long tail for sewing. Now I'm going to grab this and look at where the leaf is and kind of position the eyes however you want in relation to the leaf. Like, do you want the leaf on the right side? Do you want the leaf on the left side? I kind of like it on the left side. So I'm going to take this eye, try and figure out which side was the front. Okay, so that was the direction of work. So this is the front. See, that's where my slip stitch is coming out of. So I know that that was the last stitch I made and it's going that way. So that's how I know that this is the front, in case you were wondering. Okay, so now squish this guy down and I'm going to put the eye right about there. It's fairly far down, okay? Don't put the eye right near the top. The eye should go almost halfway down the lemon to look the cutest, okay? Maybe not quite halfway, but almost halfway, like right there. All right, do you get a good sense of that? All right, so now we're going to put this down here and we're just going to sew it in place. And I'm going to go through underneath the top of the stitch and then through a stitch here. My tail is long, it's going to get in my way, but I need it to embroider the mouth later too, so that's why I made such a long one. You're welcome to use 2 separate tails too if you prefer. That is completely acceptable. And I'm going to try to end near the center. Now I feel like that's very secure and I've ended near the center of the lemon where the other eye is going to be, okay? So I'm going to bring this tail down again and through the lemon, and I want to go through a lot of stuffing. There's a lot of stuffing under my needle here so that the black yarn doesn't show across the yellow. And I'm going to kind of bring it up where I want the other eye to be. So I want the other eye there, so I'll bring it up like right about there-ish. Maybe there. There we go. Okay. I can always adjust that later if I want to. All right, so that's the first eye in place. Now we're going to put this second eye in place, and again, I'm going to look really closely and see which side looks nicest. I think this is the front. It's black, so it's really hard to tell. And I'm kind of lining it up with the same rows to make sure that it's vertically aligned. And then I'll start sewing it in here. Now, when I'm finished, I'm going to bring this out approximately in the middle between the two eyes and where I want the mouth to be. So that's a little too low, maybe right there. Okay, and again, I can adjust it. If I don't like this, I can go back in and come out in a different spot. But I'm thinking, let's see if I do the mouth like this. That looks like a good spot for the mouth. So I'm going to back stitch the mouth, but I like to start from the center so I can get it nicely centered, basically. So I want this shape to go like that. So that's my goal for where I want to end, is right there. So I want to come down like this a little bit. So this stitch maybe goes here. Okay, and then this stitch will go like here. Maybe right there. Okay, and then this stitch takes me to my last spot, which is up there. And then I'm going to come back down to the middle. I'm catching a lot of fluff in there so that I don't show. And I come back down to the middle and see how I like it. If I follow that same line there, yeah, that looks cute. I like that. Just pulling this out the back for a second so I can take a look and still be able to undo it if I want to. That's too wide, right? That's too wide. So I'm going to take that out. Take the time to make this look right, you guys. It's very important. The face makes or breaks the whole amigurumi. So take the time to make it look nice. So I don't want it here. I want it maybe there. Is that right? Well, maybe here. Okay. And then I'll bring it down here. And see how that looks. There we go. That's a more even smile. I'm happier with that smile. Okay, so now I can take this, wiggle all my stuffing, make sure nothing's pulled. I can take this back through here and weave it in, and I'm actually going to come up into the eye here so that I'm in another black section, and then weave back down through the eye, out to the back, and cut it. Now I want to do the highlights in the eye. So just take a small piece of yellow. We're going to weave it in. I'm actually going to weave it in around the back here, and then I'm going to come in into the eye. So that's sort of woven in and sort of just held in the back there with the stuffing. Let's weave it a little more. There we go. And then come back through to the eye. Okay. Now, where in the eye do I want my highlight? Well, let's put it right about there. And I'm just going to make one little diagonal stitch right there, and then come up in the same spot on the other eye. Now, if you're having trouble, bring it up outside the eye and then you can reposition it. Okay, so there's my one little highlight, right? And now I'm going to come up and do the same highlight in the other eye. Right there. And make a tiny little diagonal line. And let's see if those look pretty even. I'd say those look pretty even and super cute. So now I'm just going to weave this end back in again. And you'll notice I keep pulling on the fabric to make sure nothing gets pinched when you're doing all this weaving in and sewing around. You don't want to make like dimples in the back of your fabric. You can make dimples in the front by doing that if you want, though. You could totally do dimples in your lemon by sewing a stitch across through here if you wanted. I'm not going to, but you totally could. Okay, so now I'm sewing all the way through here. I'm going to cut this and then relax the fabric, and it should all come back through. So I'm just taking just a tiny little bit of brown yarn, and I'm going to chain maybe 15 Let's see how long 15 is. 1, 2, 3. The pattern will say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If I fold that in half to make a hanging loop, that's actually, yeah, that's enough. See, 15, just like that. And that'll be the little stem. So now I'm going to fasten this off, and I'm leaving enough of an end to weave it in and sew it into place, okay? And I'm going to take each end and sew it in on the same exact spot on the top of the lemon. Take this end and sew it right into the center of the top of the lemon. Weave it in a little bit. Notice I go back through the exact same spot so that I don't see it on this side. It's really just catching on some of the stuffing when I do that. Okay, okay, and now this other one, I'm going to weave in the same spot, and that'll make it make a loop. And there we go. Now our lemon has a little hanging loop that makes a stem. Now there's one last thing I'm going to do to this lemon, and that is to give it some rosy cheeks with just a touch of blush. So I've got just my regular blush that I use. I'm going to take a Q-tip and load it up with some of the blush. Now this will stain. You only get one shot at this. So I'm just going to put a little bit right there. And another little bit right there. Make sure they look nice and even. I think this side needs a little more. There we go. And now my lemon has cute little blushing cheeks. And it's really that simple. You just use regular blush. And that's how you make this cute little lemon. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, or leave me a comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. Thanks for watching.